All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. We are live. We are live. What's up? What's up, Counter Punch? Kurt, what's good with you, bro? What is going on? What's up, cool man? Please smash the like button if you are here. It's Monday. We got a new week. I was just like, I was thinking, man, like I gotta make some content on some all this other stuff that's non-boxing related. It's just so much going on out there. Movies, music, celebrity deaths. Like so much going on out there. And I felt like going live and chopping it up with you guys. And I'm definitely gonna open up the chat today and let you guys join in so we can discuss some of these topics, man. Um, all right, let me just throw this link in there if any of you guys want to chat a little bit. I'm gonna start talking about a few things and then we could get right into it. I don't want to waste too much time. Right, give me a second. Give me a second. Mm, where's the link? All right, I'll throw the link in there just in case. But I'm gonna kick things off a little bit. All right. All right. Shout out to everyone that's here. Like I said, it's good morning. I hope everyone has a great week. It is Monday, so it's a new week. Boxing is going to be a little slow the next couple of weeks. So in the meantime, I'm going to start giving you guys some breakdown videos for upcoming fights. August is not the strongest month for boxing, but September, October, November, the rest of the year is pretty huge. All right, so uh, I will be giving you guys some breakdowns really, really soon. And yeah, so what inspired me to make go live today is because obviously if you see the thumbnail, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's out. Like I've been watching movies. I've been going to the movies a lot actually. I've been seeing a lot of movies and I wanted to recap a couple of the films that I see recently. I did do a review of the F1 film, but I think I've been in the movies about three more times since that movie came out. And I think that movie came out like a month ago. Uh, so I wanted to talk a few things about movies. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the deaths and celebrity deaths recently as well, because they're major deaths. You know, a lot of the guys that we grew up watching and it's we were inspired by. You know, they're all old now. So it's going to be, unfortunately, it's going to happen more often. But I wanted to talk about a couple of them here in this live, and I also want to talk about hip hop a little bit. All right, I want to talk a little bit about the albums because I'm actually very happy with some of the music that we've been getting lately. All right. I do talk about music sometimes on a live, but not really as often as I would love to. But I want to talk a little bit about music here because I'm definitely happy with some of the music we've been getting lately in hip hop. So I'm gonna talk about that. But first, all right. First of all, I want to thank you guys just for the support over the weekends. My mom saw the comments. She reads all the comments on YouTube, and she was happy with what you guys were saying. She want to thank all of you for leaving all the comments that y'all left. Like she read them all. She hit me up, I think, last night saying that she wanted me to tell you guys, "Thank, what's up, Aquia? What's up, Beast?" Um, yeah, I think my mother just wants you guys to know that she's very thankful for the comments that you guys left under the photos that I posted of us at the fight over the weekend. I did do a recap of the fight yesterday. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But basically, what I said is that I thought the event itself was definitely top tier. Like, you know, it was fun. It was a lot of energy was in there. The music was good. It just was a good time. The card was just okay. You know what I mean? It was just huge favorites throughout the whole card, a lot of prospects and stuff like that. But The event itself was dope. It felt like a party, and she had a really, really good time for her first event. So I was actually lucked out because sometimes you go certain events, sometimes it's kind of slow, some it's boring. Some of the fights are boring, some of the fights are good, but the event itself doesn't is kind of stale. So she had a great time the other day, and she wants to thank you guys, and I want to thank you too for the comments that you left. You guys left some really, really nice comments, and I did read them all, and she did read them all as well. All right, she does read my comments on my YouTube, even though she don't follow boxing. She does read my comments, and she likes to see what you guys say in my comments. So she does read the comments. All right. So I wanted to start off with that. All right, let's get the rest in pieces out of the way. Start there, all right, and then we can, have a good time and just have fun talking about music, movies, and all the other stuff that's going on. First, I want to start out by saying, rest in peace to Dwight Muhammad Qawi. He passed away. I believe he was 72. Let me just double check because okay, he did. He passed away at 72 years old. This is a legendary boxer. He is definitely one of the greatest cruiserweights of all time. All right. And it's funny because just maybe a week ago, I was like just watching his fight with Evander Holyfield on YouTube, simply because all the talks about like greatness, cruiserweight greatness, heavyweight greatness, because of what Usyk did the other week, right? So I just happen to be bored. Sometimes when I'm bored, I just end up going on YouTube and watching older fights. You know, Qawi was a guy that I wasn't. He's before my time. Like his biggest fights, Michael Spink's fight. That was I wasn't even born yet. The Holyfield fight. I don't remember watching that fight. What I mean, that's a fight that I watched later on the internet. So I wasn't there for the prime years of his career. He was a light heavyweight that went up to cruiserweight. Um, I believe he's from Maryland, and grew up in Jersey. Did 5 years in prison for robbery. Started out with a draw and a loss. Similarities to Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins did time in prison. He did lose his first professional fight. But I recognize his greatness. I do believe that he is a top five cruiserweight of all time. Um, and it's crazy what he was able to accomplish up in cruiserweight, even for the heavyweight, didn't do much there. Got stopped by George Foreman. But the guy's only 5'6". This is crazy, what he was able to do at 5'6", you know what I mean, and not have the the uh the physicality like of a Mike Tyson, you know what I mean? He was a short dude, but he could he could crack, you know what I mean? He could punch hard. Again, classic fights that I seen. Michael Spink's fight, 15 rounds. Holyfield first fight was crazy. I think when I'm live, a lot of people love bringing up that fight. A lot of old school cats love bringing up that fight because it was a 15-round war. Um, but definitely one of the greatest cruiserweights of all time. I definitely Holyfield's best fight as a cruiserweight. Classic fight. Some people even say it's one of the greatest fights they've seen. And definitely a legend. He's already been inducted in the Hall of Fame and everything. But rest in peace to him, and condolences to his family. Again, before my time as far as watching him live, but very well, aware of what he's done, and definitely see his fights uh, when the internet came up. I'm never gonna be like that guy that's gonna do that. I'm always gonna be like, yo, I didn't watch him growing up. I watched him growing up. I watched this guy growing up. I didn't watch Carweek growing up, but I was familiar with him, and I also was able to start watching his stuff when it became available on the internet. Like a lot of us, there are some OGs on here on YouTube. You got The Wire, they got Boxing Beats and Rhymes, you got Blood Boxing, some other channels that are older. Those guys was there. I wasn't, and a few that I was there for, like the Mike Tysons of the world and Sweet Peas. It's one thing to watch it as a kid, but not understand what's really going on, like behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to the politics or what the fans are saying, it's like I was watching it. A lot of it was with my dad, and then when I got to maybe like 10 years old, 11, my early teens, then I started watching fights on my own. You know what I mean? On my little tube TV and my bunk bed. I used to watch fights late at night when they used to just be on television and stuff like that. HBO, we had the boxes and everything. So those I can definitely tell. I remember watching Sweet Pea and De La Hoya live. I remember watching, De La Hoya and I Corte and those kind of fights. Those were my time. Roy Jones against Bernard Hopkins. I remember watching that live. James Toney against Roy Jones, but Dwight is a little bit ahead of him. I think he started fighting in the 70s as a pro. That's way before my time. So it's a difference. But he's definitely a top. He's probably like a top 5 cruiser in my opinion. Definitely a legend. 2 division champion, light heavyweight champ, and cruiser champ. Some people say, like, I see comments like people say that he was like a better light heavy. They thought he was a bet light heavyweight, but at the end of the day, the 2 big fights, Evander and Spanks. He did beat Leon Spanks, the brother, but uh, Michael he lost to, but that was a good fight, and so was the Evander fight. All right, so rest in peace to him. I just wanted to give a quick tribute to him before I start going to these things. And this is pretty much all the boxing that I'm going to talk about in this video. This video involves everything but boxing. All right. So we're going to talk about that. Yeah. Uh, he says, "What's good, Wave?" And the chat, F1 race this weekend was boring. What's the point of the wet tires if they don't want to race in the wet? It was kind of boring, but I think the energy was stolen because they started so long to start the race, and I think that killed it. Yeah. And I think the only entertaining part of it was Lewis going from 18 to 7. Uh, skipping, going up 11 positions was entertaining, but once he got to 7, he got stuck, and then the rest of the race was kind of just boring. There wasn't many overtakes in the race. It was kind of boring. But it is what it is. It's just some weekends it's going to be like that. I think the rain really took out of the race, and you know what? Normally, when it's a rainy race, it's a lot of drama because there's a lot of crashes. But in this race specifically, it wasn't raining throughout the race. It started and then they held it at back, and then it didn't take long for it to kind of clear up and the sun to come out, and it really it was kind of boring. I think I agree. It was kind of safe, but it is what it is. I mean, it's either this or you're gonna get a ton of crashes. That's not what we got this week. I think last month at some point there was a race where it was like everybody was crashing. It was like six crashes or something like that. It is what it is. All right. Ayala, Jose, is Jose Ayala. I'm sorry. Do I play Marvel Rivals? No, I don't play Marvel Rivals. Rosewood says Redskins or Commanders. I seen a post, and I'm not gonna get crazy political, right? But I saw the post where Trump said he's gonna change the name back, or he threatened for the team to change the name back. When I saw that, I was just like, why? Like I get it. It was already changed. I know a lot of people felt the way, but why? If actual Native Americans are coming out and saying that they're offended by the name, I don't think the name is going to change how I feel about the sport. You know what I mean? If you're a Native American, if you're not Native American, you're not gonna relate to how they feel about that name. If they're offended by it and they changed it because of that, then let him change it, and it's already changed. I don't see the point as a president to uh prioritize changing a team name in a sport. You know what I mean? I just don't think I just don't see why it needs to be done. I don't like the Commander's name. But if I was born a football fan, I was born and I watched football, right? And the name was Commanders before I was born, I wouldn't have a problem with the name Commanders because I'm used to it. I think the only people that have, a problem with it are the people that are used to the name being Redskins and it was changed to Commanders. Redskins, does it sound cooler? Yes, it does because I'm used to it. I was born with the team name that way. You know what I mean? It's like if you change the the Thundercats cartoon, right? The animated series that I watched it. You change the Thundercats and you make it the Pussycats, right? I would have a problem with that, right? Because they're called the Thundercats and not called the Pussycats. It's just I don't know. I just don't know why this is a thing. I mean, it is what it is, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. And I don't think it's like, again, I like the name better, but I don't think it's a priority for the name to get changed by the president. You know what I mean? It's just like, who cares? Like, it's already changed. I mean, I'm not a Redskins fan or a Commanders fan anyway, because I'm a Giants fan. So I don't really care what they do. You know what I mean? If they change the Giants to the Titans, I feel a way because I know they're the Giants. Why would they change the name to it? But I mean, from this, it's more of it's Native Americans that feel a way about it, not me. Like I can't relate to how they feel. You know what I'm saying? So that's my stance on that. Um, Mike knows best. Usyk easily beats most heavies and cruisers of past eras. IQ too high. I'm not saying I disagree with you because I don't disagree with you. I think he does beat a lot of people, and I think that was my stance when he beat Dubois and when he beat Fury. I said this back then. I said it's pretty simple. Like I think Usyk he's already solidified his position as an all-time great when he beat Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? Like he's already arguably the greatest cruiser. Now, as far as a heavyweight thing, it's a totally different thing because when we're talking about greatness and when we're talking about who we think would win, that's two totally different things. Greatness usually means like, what did you do throughout the entirety of your career at the time that you were fighting? Even though what I think what Usyk did as a heavyweight is great, I think what he did as a cruiserweight was more impressive to me. And I think there's a lot of heavyweights in the history of the sport that did more impressive things than what Usyk has done, right? Included Evander Holyfield. Now, I think as a cruiserweight, I think I might actually lean a little bit towards Usyk. But as a heavyweight, I would lean largely on Evander Holyfield on what he's done as a heavyweight. It's not even comparable to me. That's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? Now, as far as who you think wins, that's very subjective. Not a lot of these guys can't fight. I think Usyk would beat a lot of the guys that are from the past. Especially because the sport automatically it evolves over the years. You know what I mean? That just is what it is. I say this about basketball all the time. I think if you throw Shaq in there with a Bill Russell, I think he destroys Bill Russell if they both played in their prime. But at the end of the day, just because the sport has evolved, I think the same with Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon is not going to go up as a, a greater player than Bill Russell, but I think if they were to play each other, I think Hakeem destroys Bill Russell, right? No disrespect. But at the end of the day, when it comes to greatness, Bill Russell is way more accomplished than Hakeem Olajuwon. It is what it is. But when I look at the both of them play, I'll be like, I think Hakeem is a better player. So I just think that one thing is a little bit more subjective than the other. And when it comes to word greatness and when it comes to heavyweights, I don't think Usyk as a heavyweight is on a level of some of the other heavyweights from our past. Like it just I don't think what he accomplished by beating Dubois twice, AJ twice, and Fury twice is on a level of what some of the other heavyweights did. I just don't think that is the greatest of all time. I think the people that are saying that, again, boxing is very, and now we're talking about boxing. Boxing is the influence, like the boxing fans, and not just the fans, the media too. A lot of people are they have their biases. They have their biases. You know what I mean? So sometimes you got to take what people say and just know where it comes from. You know what I mean? And as much as I think Usyk is a great fighter, I've been covering him on this channel for years. I think just call him the greatest of all time is, what are we talking about here? Do you think he's the most skilled heavyweight all time, or do you think that he's accomplished more than every other heavyweight? No, that's two totally different things. All right, all right. What do I think about Coach Prime? I just hope his health. I just hope his health stays good. It's more important than football, about retiring. I just hope he's okay. That's all. I mean, Deion Sanders is, I mean, he's very inspiring for me, as a player. I mean, as a young kid, you know what I mean? So I care. I just want him to be okay. All right. So yes, you can Rosewood. Yes, you can only beat who's available in your generation. You're absolutely right. And what he's did is he's done what he's done in his generation. I say this about the weight classes too. You can only beat who's in your weight classes for the current fighter. You can only do that. Okay. And Usyk has done that in this time. So salute to him. But Usyk was also Usyk, like him, like Lomachenko, like a lot of guys. A lot of these guys were amateurs and Olympians for a very long time. Mike Tyson, Canelo Alvarez, these guys started pro very young. You know what I mean? So um, part of Usyk's accomplishments and his story is him being an Olympic gold medalist, which not every fighter has. But some fighters started early in their prime years, and they started as teenagers. And this is just a different way to go. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm not saying that. Well, I am saying that though you can beat who you can beat, but there's different times, and there's better years. 147 right now is not a good time. So we can say the same about like a Boots. If he were to be a Brian Norman, if you were to be a Mario Barrios, right, and became undisputed, we're not going to call him the greatest undisputed, the greatest welterweight of all time. We're not going to do that. See how I just like use an example for somebody else that has a completely different fan base, and just it makes sense. Like Usyk is an all-time great. He's one of the greatest ever, but he's not fighting in the toughest oppositions. It's not the toughest time. It's not. It's not his fault, but he's still one of the best. And I still think he beats a lot of people at heavyweight historically. But I don't think he's the greatest heavyweight. No, I don't think so. I don't believe so. It is what it is. All right. All right, so let's move forward. Um, Getting off boxing a little bit. I want to say rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is like many of us, if you grew up in that time, if you grew up in the 80s, 90s, Hulk Hogan is an icon. He is to wrestling what Mike Tyson is to boxing. Okay. Um, I mean, I know, like, I didn't like his comments. I saw, I remember the phone call he had, I believe it was about his daughter, and he said some racial slurs in the video. and it really bothered me. It did. I remember listening to it. But with that being said, what he was to me as a child, um, I'm talking about the action figures. I'm talking about the t-shirts. I'm talking about the wrestling buddies. Um, I'm talking about the movies. Okay. I went to see Suburban Commando. My mother took me to see that movie. I went to see No Holds Bar with Zeus. Okay. I saw those movies in the movie theater. I couldn't wait to see those movies. My mother took me to one wrestling event when I was younger. Um, I can't remember what it was. It was in New York. She probably doesn't even remember. At the end of the day, what Hulk Hogan did for me, him, Ultimate Warrior, The Rock, Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart is crazy. He's in my top five too. But Hulk Hogan was one of my childhood heroes. Okay. Um, Regardless of what's come out later, I know a lot of people don't like him because he's part of Trump and political reasons. He's MAGA. I get it. If you don't like him because of that, fine, cool. I didn't like the racial comments. I was offended. I was bothered. It did hurt me a little bit to hear it, but I understand that a lot of people are just racist or are prejudiced. Let me say that a lot of people are prejudiced. It is what it is. But as a kid growing up, he, um, him, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is the GOAT for me, like when it comes to movies. Uh, I watch all his movies, you know what I mean? These guys, him and Hulk Hogan and some other guys, these are the guys, like even Deion Sanders, you know what I mean? Uh, these are the guys that I looked up to, and it's like, man, like these guys, they're athletes, they're in shape, these masculine guys. Like Terminator 2 is my favorite movie of all time. It's my favorite movie of all time. I know that movie word for word. I've at least watched the Terminator 1 and 2 films at least a couple hundred times. I watch them when I'm just not doing anything. These guys mean a lot to me. And even though things come out, when it comes in, it usually involves politics. Things come out later with a lot of celebrities. Mike Tyson is my favorite fighter all time. He got convicted of rape. He did time for it. R. Kelly is my favorite R&B artist of all time. We know what happened with him. You know what I mean? There are people that do things and say things that I don't like, but I can't deny the influence they had on me at one point in my life. Okay. I know we're in a cancel culture like period where everybody's canceling everything. I'm about to speak on Malcolm Jamal Warner, and I just he's another guy, and I'm only bringing him up because Bill Cosby, we know what he got convicted with. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. The Cosby Show, and I'm gonna go right into that. Um, the Cosby Show. Every once in a while, when I'm bored and I watch the show, or I'll go on YouTube and watch certain clips. That show, similar to Fresh Prince, right? These shows, these sitcoms, all of them back then, but this is like the biggest black sitcom, right? These shows show you what it's like to be, to have a family, right? There were lessons learned in these episodes with the Cosby Show. So, rest in peace to Malcolm Jamal Warner. He's part of one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. And this is not just, it's definitely a Black American show, but everybody watched The Cosby Show. Everybody watched The Cosby, not just Black folks. Everybody watched it. Everybody watched Fresh Prince of Bel Air. A lot of people watched Martin. But the thing with The Cosby Show is that it was life. There was a lesson in every episode. It wasn't just comedy. There was something that you learned from the show on how you're supposed to be as a family, a father, a mother, a husband, a wife, a brother, a sister. How are you supposed to treat your friends? Same thing with Family Matters. There were lessons in these shows. If you watch TV now, the majority of these shows are these fake, uh, what's it called? These fake uh reality TV shows that are still scripted. But what are they doing in the show? They're disrespecting each other. They're fighting all the time. They're creating a situation between some of the two parties, and they're fighting for no reason. They're being disrespected. They're calling each other all these names. We didn't get that in the Cosby Show, or Family Matters, or whatever. Even Full House. I even like the shows like that. I watch Full House. I watch Full House. I watched all of these shows on TV, and we weren't being taught to be toxic. You know what I mean? We are now. We are. And in fact, none of these shows are entertaining to people anymore because they're not toxic enough. So once the reality TV show era started, the sitcoms just got played out. They were still making them, but they didn't have the same kind of impact on people, you know? So when we started with Road Rules, and what's the other reality show? Then we got into Flavor of Love, and then it went down to like Love and Hip Hop. And then now there's like a million. I don't watch them, but I mean, I've been around girls that watch these shows, and when I watch the shows, I get so angry because I'm like, why is this on TV? You know what I mean? Like, why is this on TV? These kids is watching this. You know what I mean? Um, they had lessons in the stories. So rest in peace to Malcolm Jamal Warner, because he's he's part of one of the greatest shows on TV, if not the greatest. Is one of the greatest family shows for all time. And for him to be a part of that, and he passed away young. I think he's in his 50s from drowning. Um, rest in peace to him and what he was a part of. Rest in peace to Hulk Hogan and what he did. And even with the negative stuff, um, what the impact and influence that he had back then, um, it very patriotic. Let me say that. And in some ways that had a negative influence, because in the 80s, and again, I don't want to get overly political because I'm an adult now. I didn't know when I was a kid, but when the Cold War was going on, and other things, you had movies like Rocky Four, like that was heavy on the American, stuff, right? Russia's bad, America's good. Same thing with Iraq, Hogan, and the what's his face? What's the Iron Sheik? Him playing the Iraqian. I didn't understand, and I was definitely influenced by some of these things, but um, there was a lot of good influences there too. And I know a lot of people are using the time to trash Hogan. And that's what people do, because that's what social media has created, a space where you can just be disrespectful on the internet all day, every day. No one knows how to really talk. Nobody talks like that to each other in person. The internet is where you could be free to be disrespectful under your ghost account and just rage bait and stuff. But rest in peace to Hogan. Rest in peace to Osbourne. It was a tough week last week. Um, I know a couple of the songs, but I'm not into heavy, metal and stuff like that. It's not really my genre. I did listen to a little bit of rock, but the hardcore stuff, a little wild. But rest in peace, because he is an icon in that world. You know what I mean? So rest in peace to him. And unfortunately, and I want to say, yeah, Felicia Rashad, yes, one of the most beautiful women. I wish women still looked like her. I say that, and Angela Bassett, and some of those women from that time. But she's beautiful, yes, naturally, naturally beautiful, not BBL big eyelashes, wigs, stuff like that. Sorry if you're here. I don't want to feel like I guess I am attacking you. But anyway, naturally beautiful woman. And I miss the women from those times. And I often watch movies and shows like wishing like they look like that still. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. I'm sorry, no disrespect. I don't want to get canceled by people that might follow me on here. But that's no, it's okay. We all have types, you know, and I have a preference in what I prefer when it comes to women, you know, as far as appearance. You know what I mean? We all have preference. Like some people don't like short people, some people like really muscular guys, some people like skinny guys, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Um uh so yeah, you know, that's no, I'm not talking about Taraji today. Sorry, Choi B. Not talking about boxing today. The video says everything non-boxing live, you know. So I am talking a little bit about boxing because the white Muhammad Qawi just passed away, but it's not really about that today. Uh, so yeah, you know, yeah, and BBLs, yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, I wanted to get the rest in pieces out of the way, and I did now. Let's start talking about some good things and some bad, but as far as entertainment. Um, I want to talk about the movies. Um, I had recently seen Superman, and I was gonna do a review, and I really didn't like the movie. Um, I saw it with my dad. I knew within probably the first 15, 20 minutes, I wasn't gonna like the movie. Yeah, you know, I knew right away. Um, so first of all, you know, you guys know I love the comic book adapted films, right? I actually like the animated ones more though. I think they're all better, even the TV series. TV series always crushes the movies to me. The Superman animated series, the Batman animated series, which is one of the all time greats, probably my number one. X-Men is probably number two. Fantastic Four, Spider Man is up there in my top five. I grew up watching all of these shows, right? But I also grew up watching, you know, the old Batman shows, you know, back when, I mean, that's when it was on its way out. They were just reruns of old episodes. But the old Batman Adam West was still televised, even though they were just reruns from the old days. It's like, you know what I mean? Anyway, Superman, when it comes to the Superman like films, I never really what got into Lois and Clark show, so I can't break that down. But when it comes to the movies, you know, I think the original Superman was still probably the best one with Christopher Reeves. I liked the Superman 2, you know, when the Kryptonians first came. I liked I don't think 3 and 4 were good. Oh, so I never really what got into Lois and Clark show, so
Yo, your volume.
break that down. But when it
Kurt,
comes to the movies, you know, I
Kurt,
think the
turn
original
your volume
Superman
down.
was still probably the best one with
Kurt,
Christopher
turn your
Reeves.
volume down. Oh, he has to catch up.
I
Let me
liked
just
the
mute.
Superman. Um, yeah, I like the Superman films. I'm gonna be honest with you, as good as the first two were, I don't watch them too much because I just don't personally feel like the timing, you know, is just a little too old. Whereas the first Batman film, I really like. Like I still watched Michael Keaton Batman. Like I still feel like it still holds up well. Whereas the original Superman films doesn't for me. All right. Um, Kurt, I'm gonna jump you in. Let me just get this off. Superman, uh, Superman Returns was a good movie that people don't like. I thought that wasn't a great movie, but I thought it was a good movie. Uh, I felt like it felt like a newer, fresher version of the Christopher Reeves films. And then Man of Steel comes out, and I feel like Man of Steel is great Superman, not great Clark, right? Great Superman. I love the film. I love the whole Kryptonian fight thing in the beginning. I loved it, right? Great action. I loved it. But at him as Clark Kent, not really. I would prefer the older ones. But this movie comes out, this new one. I have never disliked a Superman movie more than this one. I don't know what it is. I I I just couldn't stand, like, for me, I need some kind of character development. I understand that it's another Superman movie, and I know that they wanted just to jump into it. He's getting his ass kicked throughout the entire film. He's overly emotional. He's screaming, he's yelling, he's angry, he's yelling at Lois 1 minute about, one thing. He's yelling at Luther about his dog, screaming. I just, there's nothing about, I don't care about the other superheroes that was in the movie. There's nothing about this movie that made me say I like this shit. This was just, I know people are saying that it's woke. It's not even that for me. I don't care about that. Like, I'm not looking to see what's woke, what's not woke, this, all this, that, yeah. Yo, for me, that was the, some people prefer to see a vulnerable guy like Superman vulnerable. I thought he was just a little bit too vulnerable. There was nothing about him. I didn't like him as Clark Kent. I didn't like him as Superman. I didn't like the other characters. There was no character development. It made me not care. I need to see a movie. I'm going to talk about Fantastic Four in a minute. Fantastic Four, to me, did everything right. And I wasn't expecting it, but I'll get to that in a minute. Give me something, make me feel for these characters in a movie. Superman starts off so fast that I'm like, I don't even know why this is happening. And I know these people. I know Lex hates Superman. I know that. But there was nothing about the film that drew me in. I'm just watching Superman get beat up, watching him being overly emotional every 5 seconds. You know, I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, why is this happening? Why is I just, I don't know. I liked the final fight between Superman and Ultraman. All right, when they fought in the stadium, I thought that fight scene was good. That was what I was looking for. But there was no other part of the movie that I cared for, especially the characters. There's no way to, how do you learn to like people if there's no, there was a foundation built in Fantastic Four where, where'd Kurt go? He left? Guys, I'm posting the link in the thing. So if anybody wants to join, I'm gonna open up. Fantastic Four, the reason why I love the movie. I didn't like the movie. I love the movie. Okay. I never liked a Fantastic Four film. I've seen the earliest one, the one that never got released in 1994. I've seen that on YouTube. Okay. That's on YouTube. It's been on YouTube. I seen an older version, and there was another one that came out. Fantastic Four, I never liked the original in 1994 that never got released. I didn't like the other two that came out. I did like the scenes with Silver Surfer and the second one. But the movie itself sucked. Um, I hated the other one with Michael B. Jordan. Oh my God, that movie was terrible. It was even worse than the other two. And I didn't like the other two. Um, but I liked this new one was incredible. I mean, they got it right in every way. Kurt, what's up, bro? You hear me? Oh, you have like a delay. This is not like normally when people join up.
Well, everything just kind of.
Kurt, you hear me? I think it's like a super delay for whatever reason.
Hey, what's happening, man? Can you hear me?
It's a super delay. Like you're
Okay.
you're about 20. He's like 20, 30 seconds behind. All right. So yeah, I think what I liked about Fantastic Four, I know a lot of you guys probably Kurt, you back? Yo. It never does this. I wonder why he has like a 20-second delay behind whatever I'm saying right now. He's not going to hear this until another 20, 30 seconds from now. Yeah. All right. So Fantastic Four, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to give the entire movie away, but I'll talk about at least what's in the trailer. What I like about the movie is that they take the time to build the pieces to what we're getting. You know what I mean? And for me, I need that. We're gonna get all the action and CGI that we're gonna get in movies at this point. But they did something there where when it came to Reed, to Sue, to Ben, and to Johnny, and they built them up as a family. It's a beautiful, like it's like an old school futuristic. It reminded me of the world that they were in. It was like the Jetsons. You know what I mean? Like you watch Jetsons, it's a futuristic world, but I guess when we watch it now, it looks very old. It was kind of like that. And I just think the story was so much better than just we're bad, you're good, you're evil. I think they made me care about the characters. And that was something that the Superman film just did not do for me. You know what I mean? It just went right in and it wasn't for me, you know. Um Silver Surfer, okay, that's why everybody's calling it woke. Okay. Silver Surfer was a female. I do think that yes, Hollywood is going in a direction where they're making women roles. There was a female Silver Surfer in the comics. There was one. So it's not that it didn't exist. There was one. All right. Was it a lot of it? No, there wasn't. But there was a female Silver Surfer in the comics. Let me say this, and I'm being completely honest. I'm not pandering at any level. I saw the movie, and this female Silver Surfer didn't feel any less cool than the male one in the second Fantastic Four movie. There are movies where I think they force female roles and they don't get it right. In this film, I did not feel any different about her being a female. And I'm going to tell you why. There's a point in the film where if you don't want to know anything about the movie, just turn it off. I'm not going to completely spoil it, but I just want to make a point. There's a certain part of the film where Galactus is the enemy, right? He's the main guy. I think we know that. They found out he's there. Silver Surfer comes. We know that Silver Surfer is basically, she works for Galactus. They're seeking out planets so he can devour the planet so he can become powerful. That's her role, or Silver Surfer's role, male or female. So when she's planet hopping and searching for a good planet for him to eat, there's a point where she's going to warn the humans, hey, we're coming to take over your planet. They decide to go out to space to go meet him instead of waiting. There's a scene where there's a chase where they're leaving outer space. And that scene with the Silver Surfer was incredible. Remember when Johnny Storm was chasing Silver Surfer through the city, and he was going through the tunnel, and he went through the bus, and he went through the building, and it was fire, and he chased Silver Surfer all the way up into space? Remember that scene where everybody loves that scene, right? Anybody, you might not like the movie, but you love that scene, right? This scene with the Silver Surfer chasing them through space was insane. She was literally, they had threw like a missile torch fire thing, and I was about to, she was surfing the fire like it was a wave, bro. That shit was crazy. Yo, I was sitting in a seat. Yo, I almost got up and walked out the movie theater. It was so fire. I was like, that one scene was better than everything I saw in Superman. Go see the movie. I know she's a female. I know people don't like the whole making female on every role in every movie. In some movies, it's stupid. In this movie, it's not. I did not feel. I had already had forgotten she was a female. And Silver Surfer is one of my favorite characters, like a top 10 character in superheroes. I did not feel like it didn't bother me because she was the same person. It's just it was a female instead of a male. She was the same person. That space travel scenes, yo, that was crazy. It was crazy. I'm probably gonna go watch it again because I just want to. There's certain moments in a movie that had me so like, and listen, there's other good parts in the movie. They did the movie well. It's the only Fantastic Four film I like. That's the only one. I've never liked any of them. So they did it well. And this is supposed to be about Superman. The Superman film was my least favorite. It's not for me. There's certain people that I've talked to that actually like it. But it wasn't for me. You know, I didn't like the costume. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like him as Superman or as Clark Kent. There was nothing like even with Henry Cavill, right? He's not perfect. I don't think he's the greatest Superman. But I think the movie Man of Steel was well done. And there were so many characters in the movie that I liked, right? Like I like Zod, right? My man from 8 Mile, right? The guy that plays what's his name? What's his name that's messing with Eminem's mom? Uh Whatever. I thought the guy that plays Zod was good. Um uh uh Russell, what's the name that played Superman's father? Is it No, not Kurt Russell. I'm bugging out. Who's Gladiator? Who plays Gladiator? I can't think of his name right now. Oh my god. I can't think of his name right now. You guys tell me in the comments. I thought Man of Steel made me like it. I liked everybody in the film. Everybody did their part. And I thought the fight scenes were Russell Crowe. Yeah, I said Russell, but I'm not to say I'm thinking Kurt Russell. I'm thinking Russell Westbrook. I'm thinking like Russell. It's Russell, right? Russell Crowe. I think the movie to me was great in Man of Steel as far as the fighting and just the story to me. I think what they did with Krypton and the planet and showing that part, you can't beat that. You know what I mean? Um, so when they came, to me, I don't know. This new one, it was nothing about it that made me care. And for me to enjoy the film, it can't just have action. You have to build up, like I was saying earlier, Terminator 2 is one of my favorite movies because even though it's a nonstop action film, it does something to where when you're watching like Sarah Connor and John Connor, young John Connor, they're showing him his life, how he feels about his mom. But then when they link up with the Terminator, right, there's like a bond, there's a connection. He's pretty much teaching him why he can't kill and how to have feelings, why he's playing, why he's crying. These are things that builds a movie. And these movies have gone so long, especially with the comic book adapted films recently, because Marvel has not been putting out good movies recently. They forgot about that. You know, why did the end of Endgame feel like a real funeral? I'm not gonna lie. Call me whatever you want. I think I cried like 2, 3 times in that movie. And I'm not even a crier. I cried like 3 times in that movie in Endgame. The funeral at the end of that movie felt like a real funeral because everything was built up. Like you feel like you have a relationship with these people because you've been watching them for so long. Something about the Superman movie just wasn't it. I just didn't feel it, you know. Um, I know it's a James Gunn film and all of that, and he's done the some of the other recent films, but I have not liked. Oh, and by the way, when I say Superman, I did not like the Batman v Superman movie. Okay, I don't think it was a great movie. I think it was another movie that had good scenes. Um, I thought it was certain moments. I'm very specific about what I dislike and like about certain comic book characters that I'm familiar with, like Batman and Superman. Batman, we could talk about Batman all day because Batman is he's my number one superhero. I like each one for specific reasons and dislike for others. I actually like uh Ben Affleck's Batman. All right. I don't like him as Bruce Wayne. Okay. Him and his scenes as Batman fighting, doing Batman shit, was fire to me. Um, but I didn't like him as Bruce Wayne. There was nothing about him as Bruce Wayne that made me say like he's dope. You know, Christian Bale, I know he is involved in the greatest Batman films. I didn't like him as Batman. I hated his voice. His voice killed it for me. But I loved him as Bruce Wayne. I thought he was the perfect Bruce Wayne. Michael Keaton, I loved as Bruce Wayne and Batman. That's my breakdown. You know, the Batman, I forgot dude's name from Twilight. The recent Batman hated him as Bruce Wayne. Hated him as Bruce Wayne. Loved him as Batman, but he's a different Batman than Ben Affleck. He's a detective Batman. He is not a guy that's going to destroy 20 guys with guns and stuff in a room, in a warehouse. He's not that kind of Batman. He's a detective Batman, which is what Batman really is. He's the world's greatest detective. So I liked him as Batman, but I didn't like. I thought he was a weirdo as Bruce Wayne. He just gave me psychotic, crazy mental health vibes. So it really you really when it comes to the superhero films, you gotta really like break it down, like analyze it. Um, I like them all for different reasons. I just don't think the new Superman is nothing about it that I like. I think even if you're going, I understand that they were trying to escape the dark side of these movies because there was a long string of movies that was just dark. Um, but there's still a better way where you can make a good film like without it being dark. You know what I mean? There's a lot of non-dark films that I still enjoy. Fantastic Four is a perfect example. It's a beautiful family film. It's a fun film. I've seen a couple of you guys talk about The Incredibles. Fantastic Four reminded me of The Incredibles. The other Fantastic Fours did not, you know? So, um, I love Fantastic Four. I highly recommend you guys to go watch it. All right. Highly go and recommend to watch it. I know people are talking about the woke stuff, this, that. All right, whatever. I mean, as a female superhero, I actually didn't think there was any difference between her and the other Silver Surfer. I'm being honest. Okay. Yes, in certain movies, I think, I think that they could have left that alone, but not in this one. This one was good, you know. No, I have not watched 28 Years Later, and I have not watched Jurassic Park yet. All right. I plan on seeing Jurassic Park. 28 years later, I'm watching that when it comes home. Like I don't care to see that much. I like the old ones, but not like to a point where I'll go to movies. I'm kind of over the zombie movies, man. It's just too many of them now at this point. I watched those. Some of them were good. Um, actually like one zombie kind of ish movie that I really like that I don't think get brought up is Quarantine. That's actually one of my favorite ones. Yeah. That's when they were in that hotel or that apartment building, and you had the fire department, you had the police, you had all these people that lived in the building, and they all got locked up in there and they couldn't escape. And no one talks about that movie like that. But I like Quarantine. Um that movie gets overlooked. Um I think I like Dawn of the Dead when it came out, but I haven't seen that movie since back then, so I don't know if I would even like that now. But I'm gonna wait to see that. Jurassic Park has been disappointed since the first Jurassic World. I think I didn't like the last two were bad, and they're saying this one is bad too. So you guys are saying not to watch it, and it's probably gonna be bad. Yeah, maybe I won't watch it. Maybe I'll skip that too. Especially because movies are coming to they're coming home so soon, so quickly. You know what I mean? They get home so soon. All right. So yeah, those are my movie reviews real quick. All right. All right. So before we get out of here, I want to talk a little bit about hip hop. And yo, I'm only bringing this up because I grew up on hip hop, right? I mean, I even listen to like the people that's a little bit before my time or like around my time, like old school hip hop, like only because I listened to it because my dad was listening to it. So I'm talking about I started listening to hip hop, LL Cool J, EPMD, Special Ed, Eric B and Rakim. Those are the Big Daddy King. I was listening to them all that back then, right? So all the way from then all the way to now. But I do listen to music outside East Coast rap, right? I do listen to South move rappers. I do listen to West Coast rappers. With that being said, some of the albums, let's start out with the clips. Let God sort them out. For me, this is the best rap album I've probably heard in a few years. Um, I know there's probably a lot of people I haven't listened to. All right. Um, but to me, from a lyrical standpoint, this gotta be one of the best albums that I heard in a few years. And I like a lot of people. People's putting out music, but this album, there's this song. First of all, POV is probably my favorite song, but there's this song called FICO, which is if you have not heard this song, it's probably one of the most lyrically, like if we're just talking like their wordplay on this song is so difficult I just don't think there's much out there that you compare when it comes to their verses. And I've been a Pusha T fan. Thank you, E-Class. Thank you. He says top 5 conscious rappers of all time. Ugh. Top 5 conscious rappers of all time. For me, I can't put them in order, but for me, I'm gonna have to put Common. I'm gonna have to put Common. I'm gonna have to put Mos Def. Is J. Cole considered conscious? I think he is. I think he is. So if he is, I'm gonna put him in there. J. Cole, Common, Mos Def. I mean, I would put a group, but you asked me for rappers. Tribe Called Quest is my favorite group. And Midnight Marauders is my favorite album. Or my most listened to album. I don't think it's the greatest album. It's my most listened to album. So they're not a rapper, but they're a group. So I would put Tribe Called Quest. And one more. I mean, I like Talib Kweli, but I wouldn't put him in the top 5. Conscious. Who do I listen to that's conscious right now? I don't know. Let me think about it. I gave you 4, so let me. I'll keep it in the back of my mind as we talk. All right. Maverick is leaving a million comments right here, and I'm not gonna read all of those. But yeah, I mean, if you can you actually leave what you're? It's too many comments, bro. Can you just please leave that in the comment section instead of the live section so I can actually read what you're saying because it's just scrolling up the screen. All right. But yeah, I have to think of who else is out there as far as conscious rap. All right. Anyway, going back to what I was saying, I think the Clipse album is probably my favorite album that I heard in a few years. I'm actually taking a break from it now because I'm bugging. I'm bugging. Is Lupe Fiasco a conscious rapper? Yes, he is. Lupe is my number 1 when it comes to that area. Lupe Fiasco is number 1, and I think he's actually one of the top 2 lyricists of all time. I would have to say Lupe Fiasco. I'm talking about lyricists. I don't think he's the best rapper. I just think that lyrically, I think him and Nas are the greatest as far as just lyrically. But anyway, Clipse album is a classic already to me. Absolute classic, without a doubt. And Pusha T has had a good run, but I can't believe the amount of verses that I think that Malice and Pusha T kills it. But Malice actually gets him on a few of the verses. Malice has to be. I'm gonna have to sit here and I'm like, wait, was Malice always this good? Because I've heard the older albums, but I mean, god damn, lyrically, the Clipse project is probably one of the best projects I've heard in years. No cap. But I've taken a break from it, and now I'm listening to Raekwon's album, which was very good, a good project, solid project. Um, he has a song called One Life. I don't know why he's not pushing that song. I feel like that song is a mainstream hit. I got a good vocals on the what's it called? On the hook, the beat, everything. That reminds me of a 90s hit song. on the Raekwon album. Everybody's talking about the Nas verse, and I think everything else is getting overshadowed because of the Nas. Was he dissing Jim Jones thing? Anyway, good album, solid project. But what's his name? Freddie Gibbs. Freddie Gibbs just put out Alfredo 2. And that's probably my second favorite album this far this year. And I'm not dissing Kendrick. Kendrick's album was good. GNX was good. It was a solid album. I like it. But I think these two albums that I just named with Clipse and Freddie Gibbs album, those are better albums than the Kendrick album. I think Kendrick had a monster year last year going at Drake, but I don't think that his album was like crazy. I thought it was a solid album. It was a solid project. All right. I haven't gotten around to Benny the Butcher's album yet. But I think that the Clipse album is definitely by far the best album of this year, and probably one of the best albums I heard in a minute. But definitely check out the Freddie Gibbs album, Alfredo 2. Alfredo 1 is very good too. In fact, that album is what really made me a fan of him. Because I was listening to that album that year heavy. That was definitely one of my favorite albums this year. If you like the first one, you're gonna like the second one, because the second one sounds. He's with Alchemist, the producer. Alchemist is one of the greats when it comes to producing. I love his beats. But this album sounds, it gives me the same vibe of what I got from the first one. And it's a great album. In fact, I don't skip over any of the songs. I just let it play all the way through. I've only probably listened to it 3 times fully, but it's definitely my second favorite album already for this year. I mean, those are really 2 really good albums: the Clip album and the Freddie Gibbs album. And it's crazy because I don't know if you guys knew, but I'm a huge Tyler the Creator fan. All right, I'm a huge Tyler the Creator fan. Like, he's one of my favorite artists. All right, but he put out an album this week or last week, and the timing of it's a fun album. It's a high pace. It's not like a rapidy rap album, and I can't listen to it right now because between Clips, Freddie, Raekwon, whoever else been in this film projects, I said I still got to listen to Benny Butcher's album. I'm stuck. I can't. I want to stay in this rap space that I'm in right now because I rarely get it with these rappers anymore. I don't like too many rappers anymore. You know, um, I'm still stuck in the 2010 class of rappers. I mean, that's the furthest I went, and that 2010 class involves Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick, Tyler. I don't listen to Future, but he's from that class. Wale, those guys are from that time. I never really went past that time. I've probably listened to a few people's then, but I don't really listen to too many newer people. You know what I mean? Um, Half of them I can't even understand what they're saying they're mumbling, and they're talking about stuff that I don't want to hear at this point in my life. You know what I mean? So I listened to 2010 class and before. You know, that's just me. But definitely check out the Clips. I think the Clips have, when I look at their body of work overall now, you got to start. I think we're at a point where we gotta have to start having some real conversations about like where we're ranking them, because the way they're rapping on this album right now at 50 years old needs to be studied, especially that song FICO. Listen to that song FICO. If you rap or you follow rap, like I watch a lot of battle rap, not as much as I used to, but listening to the bars and those songs, like the way the way that they're rapping on there, it's very difficult. Um, That song is ridiculous when it comes lyrically. Ridiculous. FICO. Um, yeah. So I'm very happy that I've been like listening to hip hop recently. I have my hip hop playlist. A lot of it involves 90s, early 2000s rap, and I'm like stuck. I can't get out because these guys are not rapping like that no more. Or there's just, I'm not into drill. I don't listen to any drill at all. I think it's some of the worst music that I've ever heard. Um, Maybe if I was younger, I might have liked it, but nah, I can't do it. But definitely listen to the Clipse album. One of the best hip hop albums I heard. And rap's been slow for me, but yeah. All right. Let me hit some of the comments. Yeah, Tupac. I listen to Tupac. I still listen to Pac. Uh, yeah, no, Freddie Gibbs. We was just talking about him. Second favorite album of the year for me. Says Stove Card Cooks. Should add a feature on his top of his hook, man. Gio says Kendrick is the last dude I've been hearing. I listen to Kendrick a lot. Don't get it twisted. I didn't think GNX was crazy. I thought it was good. I like some of the songs on there. But Kendrick is hit or miss for me. So with Kendrick, right? Some of his albums I love, and some of them I just don't like at all. You know what I mean? There's no real in between. It's either I like it or love it, or I just completely dislike it, and I can't listen to it. You know what I mean? Cole, I don't like Kendrick's verse on Chains and Whips. I'm talking about the Clip song. That song is like a 2-year-old song. I do not like Kendrick's verse. And I tweeted this and some people got mad. It is what it is. I just don't think his style of rap fits every beat. I think they had a nice flow that was going, the two brothers. And they're like the yin and the yang. And when you bring somebody else, it just didn't mesh well. I thought Tyler's verse on their album meshed well with the song. But I don't think Kendrick's verse should have been on that song. It's just my personal opinion. Just didn't like the verse. I think Kendrick is nice, but I don't think his verse should have been on that song. Cool G Rap is definitely slept on. Absolutely. Absolutely. He's actually one of the greatest lyricists too, especially from his time. But all right. This guy Maverick left so many comments. I want to read what he's saying. He says Gon beats Aspinall in MMA UFC. Oh, we'll see. He also said Superman soft. He said Fantastic Four, Rise of the Superman. This guy left a million comments. Man. That guy, I've never seen somebody type that many comments and so quickly. Solid says Freddie Gibbs has just gotten exposed and made to look like a sucker so many times. Hard to look past that. And I understand what you're saying. But you know how I moved past it? I listened to the album. That's all I did, because I have not been listening to him. But when I saw that he was coming out with Alfredo 2, and I loved Alfredo 1, I stopped thinking about all the stuff that was happening outside of rap, outside of the music. And that's how you get them. That's how you get them. I often say that about boxers. You know what I mean? You coming off of a loss, or a bad performance. You get caught up in some things outside. I said that about Keyshawn. You know what I mean? Keyshawn That was a bad week for him. Miss weight, fight outside of the ring. He needs to get back in the ring and perform. Do what he does. All right, and get back on track. That's all he needs to do. Stay out of trouble. Get back in the ring. Give us a good performance. You know, people are still going to bring up what happened, but that's how you make people forget. Boxing fans, man, they have short-term memory. So if you're a music artist, ain't nothing we could say about you. Yeah, you might have been looking like a sucker outside of outside of the music, but when you put out an album like that, Alfredo 2, oh, he got beat up by Benny when he got fight with Jim Jones, all this stuff. I don't care about that. Especially with me, like, first of all, I am not a believer that these rappers who are who they are. You know what I mean? I've been around a number of rappers, and I can tell you that a lot of it's part of the act. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know, a lot of these rappers are not real street dudes or none of that, and they wouldn't do anything that they say they do in their raps. So at the end of the day, I don't really believe them to be who they portray themselves as, you know. Um, so that's how I feel about that. You know, you make good music. You're a music artist, make good music. If you're an actor, give us good films, give us good acting performances. If you're a fighter or an athlete, show up more night. You know, whether you're playing ball, whether you're fighting, just give us the performance of in what you do in your field. You know, all this stuff as far as your personality and stuff, I don't care. You know what? And I think most people did not care until social media. You know, if I was famous, I would be very limited with my time on social media because just reading thousands of comments that's directed towards you, toward people that you don't know who any of these people are. I just wouldn't do it, you know? Like I create content, so I read comments all the time. Um, but as an athlete, you're the one that's known. You know, we're not known. You're the one that's like the fighter, you know, or you're the music artist. Just reading down thousands of comments, you know, people attacking you, random people that can't even show their face. Come on, you know, nah. Anyway, I gotta get on out of here, guys. It was great chopping it up with you. I hope you guys have a great week. You know, maybe I'll do some more lives like this in the future where we can just talk about so many things. There's so much stuff. There's more stuff that I wanted to talk about in this video, but I was trying to keep it limited and stuff. But listen, guys, y'all have a good day. I'll see you guys real soon, and we'll be back with some boxing. All right. Please subscribe if you are new and hit the thumbs up on your way out. Appreciate it. Thanks. Peace.